So I'm sitting outside a single family home with ADU. Now, a couple weeks ago, my tenant in the front house moved out and they've left it in not ideal condition is what I've been told. What I'm going through is what every single landlord will go through. It's a matter of when, not if. When you're gonna have a property where a tenant leaves out, where a tenant messes up the property to some extent, we got some damage to take care of. So it's really the opportunity to like learn how to deal with it. I am looking through this of like, hey, I've got a tenant turning, I gotta do some work done. What's the best use of the property? Am I going to do another long-term rental? Am I gonna do a short-term rental? Am I gonna fix it up and sell it? What am I gonna do? So I'm gonna go through and show you the property. We'll see what the tenant has done to the property and talk to different options and numbers. And I got about 30 people here in Denver, investors, property managers, real estate agents, here also to join me as well. So we got a fun walk and talk. So now, let's go do the big reveal. Yeah, come on in, guys. I mean, so far it's not that bad.
Left cereal over there, Chris?
Yeah.
Food, yeah.
Smell a little rough.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't smell like those sunflowers up there.
So good thing about the COVID,
Yep.
I don't have a smell anymore. So guys, walk around, just poke your head for a minute, then we'll hang out. So this is not as bad as I was expecting. Is down here the good part? Yeah. Yeah.
Chris, what were you expecting? If this is not that bad.
Well, so far, on my level, this is less than I was expecting. I still more to check out though. So here's a really good thing to talk about here. So we got Mr. Vanna White here. So I was pointing out the egress window, and what an egress window is, this is a basement unit, and at least in Denver, you gotta have 2 points of egress. So usually the door and a window. And so there's a lot of gray area where like, hey, it's a bedroom or it's built before the code is required, but someone can't, egress out. My rule of thumb is I want every single bedroom to have an egress window. It costs $3,000 to $5,000 to put in typically, because what it can do in a horrible event, it could save someone's life, which should be, amazing, but at the same time, potentially reduce a huge liability for me as a landlord. So I'm a big fan of it, and I think everyone should always put an egress window in. It's just smart and safe for the tenants and smart and safe as a landlord's perspective.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is this low ceiling, does this pass the rental inspection that's coming?
So here's a really fun fact. This is unincorporated Adams County.
Okay.
So it's
It's not on Denver.
No, so
we talked about last week.
So this is one of those weird things where this is Denver, Colorado.
Right.
Or it says Denver in the address, but it's actually unincorporated Adams County, so we don't go under Denver County. So we can Airbnb it, and also it does not meet the new Denver renter regulations. Yeah.
It's a nice mix in there, fits in between.
Oh yeah. What do you guys think so far?
Got a good furnace, Chris.
Yeah. So to give a little backstory on this property, I bought this about 2 years ago because I like the idea of having 2 units on a residential property, a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and a 1-bed, 1 bath out back ADU. It's actually a video we did on Bigger Pockets a couple of years ago as well. We actually toured the back ADU, and that was before I had purchased it, maybe right when I was purchasing it. So bought with a 15% down loan to go high leverage and capture some depreciation wave, and I was able to do that because I had 2 units bringing in income. And what's happened the last 6 months is the ADU is actually currently being reconstructed because a pipe froze, burst, and created some water damage in the ADU. And it happened to be at the same time the tenant decided to start skipping rent and turn out. So we had a combination of having to go in to remediate the damage, but also we were slowed down the process. We had like 6 to 8 weeks of a eviction process as well. So it just took a while. Again, typical landlord stuff, and why you always hold reserves, because I'm not gonna lose a $500,000 asset over a couple bucks for a monthly rent payment. So always expect this stuff to happen and be prepared. And then the front tenant moved out, like I said, a month ago. And so what I'm going through now is evaluating, hey, what's the best use of property in terms of like the level of remodel that's needed and also the options we have out here. So high level, there's an option to sell the property because it's in a good location. I've gotten some good appreciation capture the last couple years at the tail end of the appreciation, which I'm very happy with. And I'm more inclined to do that because while I love this property with the dual units, since it is an ADU property, there's a level of uniqueness on there, which for me, I'm more of a hands-off manager, and the uniqueness is something that doesn't fit well with my management style, and I don't have the hands-on ability to go out there and manage it. So like a house hacker or like a really hands-on landlord would be perfect for this property, or just even an owner-occupant that wants to just make some money off the ADU. So kind of my thought process there, but at the same time, we gotta go through, hey, we can do a long-term rental, we can do an Airbnb, or we can do a medium-term rental as well. So we'll share those numbers in a few minutes, but that kind of sets up the scape and what we're looking at here today as we go through, like, hey, what's the condition, what's this? And you know, part of the reason the walkthrough is, depending on what option we wanna do, it's gonna determine what level of remodel is done in here. If this is gonna be an Airbnb property, it's gonna probably require between furnishings and fixing up, $30,000 to $45,000 is a rough estimate. ADU will take some money. So hey, it takes an investment, but how those numbers turn out. So I want to know what I'm doing before I start the remodel on there. Now, if I'm going to sell it or keep it as a long-term rental, I could do a rental grade finish, which is going to be, you know, what, 8 to 10 grand?
Yeah, probably 8 to 15, depending on
8 to 15 grand.
What you uncover once you.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at here too, part of what we're looking at as we go through these finishes, hey, what do I need for these types of rentals? And also if I sell it, I can sell it as is, which is usually it's not going to get me the best dollar for here. I could do a light remodel, cosmetic, you know, that $8,000 to $12,000 remodel, sell it with a light remodel, or do like a $50-some thousand total remodel. And it kind of comes down to, hey, what's the cost and what do we expect the market to do? Because, hey, if I can spend $10,000 but sell it for $50,000 more, that's a great return. If I put $50,000 into it and sell it for $60,000 more, that's not worth a $10,000 return. So let's go walk the ADU. Oh, cool. Look at it. He's choking under pressure on camera.
No, it's the
Call yourself a realtor.
property manager has 3 different coaches.
Look at that.
That's what they all
Just,
say.
just pass on the buck, right?
Yeah.
So they're remodeling it.
So this is the one that flooded?
Yeah. So then, yeah. So it's one of these pipes that I think flooded. So the old Q&A, we just came in here, toured the property, spent a few minutes walking around, got everyone to go walk around as well. So again, this unit's in better shape than I thought. You know, one of these pipes burst and then created some water damage. We're getting that remediated right now. So again, a good reminder that when things will happen, when water happens, it always does. And you know, always a good reminder that check your insurance. You know, luckily mine was decent enough, but it's always a good reminder because I've heard some really bad horror stories from investors that get cut off by that. And then, hey, I had a $4,000 deductible, but some people have, you know, $30,000 out of pocket. So a big difference of, you know, $4,000 versus $30,000. So a good reminder, always check your insurance. And then what's going on in here is it was some PVC piping through an uninsulated exterior wall. So, you know, not great. So that's what froze and burst. And now what they're doing is they're insulating and putting in PEX piping because that's a lot more elastic. I think expand like 2 or 3 times its size for its burst. So it's a lot more robust. So again, it'll be great once it's, properly, remediated, and we're taking care of the issue as well, which is the best way to do it. So yeah, any questions or comments? Preston, Stacy, you guys, so Stacy ran some comps. I want to say this was, ballpark 13, 14. Up front was 19 or so. They were a little under market rent. And then we had some utilities split back as well because, the way the meters are on this property. So there was another, we split some utilities as well. So those are the rents with $100 in rubs. So we're estimating there is, about $2,200 up front for long-term rental, 15, 16 back here. So there's some room for market rent. So this is why I'm coming here. I'm going to see what it takes, explore my options for, hey, what it costs to do this finish, what can I sell it for, what can I Airbnb for, what can I do this? And of course, taking all that with like, what do I want to deal with? Everyone's like, Airbnb it. I'm like, yeah, except I don't want to own a hotel. Like, I don't want to. Like, it's not worth it to me, even with a property manager, because they're great until the property manager is not great. Like, I still have to do it. So like, I'm inclined to not do an Airbnb because that does not fit me.
Is this a good Airbnb location?
It is. So some background here. So this is Denver County on the address, but it's actually unincorporated Adams County. So it's the county north of Denver County. So two big things for what this property means is we have none of the Airbnb rules that Denver County does, where they can only Airbnb if it's an owner occupant. This, we could Airbnb both. It's a little more like the Wild Wild West up here. The second thing is that this does not have to go through the Denver rental regulation inspection, which has started this year for single family homes. And then I actually talked to an Airbnb property manager who manages a lot of properties and owns and operates properties. They actually have a property similar to this about 12 blocks south of here. So a little bit better location, but they bought and they put in about $100,000 in remodel and fixtures and furnishings, and probably be similar to what this would take, maybe a little bit less. And they're getting, I want to say close to like in totally ballpark, I want to say like 90,000 gross year between the two is what they're estimating. They have a few months worth of data on there. But it was like, 45 and 40,000 or really good revenue there. This would probably be a little bit less than that because it's a little bit farther north. So take a couple like 5% variance, but I always also estimate lower anyway. But overall, like really, really strong comps. And also, most important, the regulations allow it.
Chris, are you still looking at paying those guys 25%, even down here for property management or Airbnb?
Yeah, so how much does it cost to pay for a PM fee? It ranges all across the board. I would say most full service ones are about like 20 to 25% is what I've heard from most. And so, yeah, and so they would obviously take, a big part of that fee, and that would take out, close to 20K on there. But again, that's the trade-off where, hey, I am hands off. I don't want to deal with this stuff. And also, they should get more money than I could.
If it were me, I know I'm a different investor than a lot of people. I'm more hands-on, I would say. I would furnish both just like this, make the exterior a little bit better, more pleasing to the eye, and assuming separate washer and dryer in here, on medium-term rent both of them, because that's not that much management on my end as an owner.
I'm in the get-rich-slow camp, and I like this area, so I would hold on to it.
Are you in the market for new property, Stacy?
That's a great call.
Maybe.
So we just finished a property walk. I got to see both units, had some great Q&A with our local investors here. They were all filtering out. So now it's just us to hang out. So I walked in this property not knowing what to expect from here. And this actually not as bad as I expected. Honestly, it's just if we get a dumpster, clean it up, do a light remodel, probably $8,000 to $12,000 right now as a ballpark, and it's gonna be in really good shape and in a shape to do a good long-term rental or potentially sell it. So that's kind of my gut right now after walking through the property is finish the remodel back there in that grade and then do a similar one out here and then sell the property to a house hacker or a landlord. All right, so let's go through 3 lessons learned on here. Lesson 1, it's a matter of when, not if, something happens. It's a matter of when a pipe bursts, when a tenant moves out, when you have to evict someone, when. When you have both units vacant at the same time and have 0 income coming in. It's a matter of when. So always be prepared for that and hold healthy financial reserves so you can take a punch of a few bucks, but not lose a very expensive asset. Because I should about double my money when all this is said and done. So that's a great return on my money in 2 years. Point number 2, anytime you have a tenant turn or you do a refinance event, come reevaluate what is the best and highest use of the property. A lot of times it is to go in there, put another tenant in there, or do Airbnb, or should I keep this and potentially sell? And that's something I talk a lot about in my Steal My Plan and the portfolio analysis videos. And I'm like, hey, how do I actually look at the numbers here and decide how to best use the equity? So check that out because that matters, but always reevaluate your property. What was my third one? Third one, have your team in place. Number 3, have your team in place. You know what? I've been talking to my property manager, I've been talking to my insurance agent, I've been talking to my real estate agent, I've been talking to fellow investors, getting feedback, getting ideas, I've been talking to Airbnb property managers, I've been talking to medium-term property managers. I'm relying on my team to help gather me data and help get people's opinions who are more expert than my own, and that's what I want. Like I could do it on my own, but take a lot of time, and they are better at than I am. So I want their expertise, and I take all these data points and run through my various scenarios so I can see what the best option is for me. But I cannot do that if I don't take the time to develop relationships and assemble a A+ team for me to use. So this is property walk of at least 3 that I'll be doing to document this journey. So I'm gonna come back through various stages. I would love to have comments from you guys on what would you do in this situation? What would you do? Would you sell it? Would you keep it? Would you short-term rental it? What would you do? Let me know.